Hello, everybody. Welcome into RIM Logistics, our podcast room, and Logistically Speaking, our monthly podcast. First off, we want to apologize for those of you that did sign in Monday afternoon. We had, as they say in the biz, technical difficulties, so we were not able to get on the air. We appreciate everyone's patience. We are here a few days later and ready to talk. So thank you for joining us. I'm Mike Esposito here at RIM. I've got two of my longtime colleagues with me. We are going to talk about a very exciting program that we have working here at RIM that hopefully will be informative to not only our clients, but also our prospects and others that we do not do business with today, but in terms of med tech, a very important part of the supply chain of the United States, medical technology, medical devices, how that comes in and how we have built a program to set that up. So let me first introduce our guest. First, our Chicago branch manager, longtime colleague, Joe Logsdon. Joe, thank you for joining us here.
Of course, Mike, of course. Thank you for having me.
Yes, no, we appreciate Joe here to talk. And Tim Wessel, our managing director of Europe, is here to talk about the origins of the program and really how it was built up, because you've been around for most of it. So we're going to talk, we're going to start with Tim. Again, it's medical tech, medical devices. There is the Medical Valley, which I just recently learned how this came to be.
Yep.
And I thought it was a really cool story. So I think maybe if you could let us know like the history of how that came to be and from Germany to the United States and how this came to be a manufacturing hub for these medical devices.
Yeah, Mike, appreciate the intro. Great to be here. MedTech has really become one of our most prominent verticals in the organization, and its beginnings for RIM go back to 2012 when the market was going through a bit of mergers and acquisitions, and we found ourselves in a very lucky, fortunate position to bring on a very talented group in Tuttlingen, Germany. Which geographically is somewhere in between Stuttgart and Zurich, about an hour and a half drive from each location, in the middle of the beautiful Black Forest, and happens to be the center of the Medical Valley.
Yep.
Tuttlingen and the surrounding area, really hundreds of years back, have deep roots in metalworks and have always been producing knives and swords and that kind of stuff. And then in the 1800s, kind of pivoted more into the medical piece of metalworking and early surgical instruments. And since, through kind of a couple of anchor businesses who started their operation there, a bunch of clusters formed around those anchor businesses. And now in the Medical Valley, we're talking about 400 plus medtech organizations that do business in the Medical Valley, with which, most of which we have a relationship with, either as a supplier or as a client or as a distributor, and have really been able to build a foothold in that geography and work alongside a lot of those companies on many different trades. Predominantly within the surgical instrument and dental instrument arena. We're looking forward to kind of marketing this a bit more and making sure everyone knows that RIM is a big part of this vertical.
It's a very specialized kind of service, and it's not, and admittedly, right? I mean, until we opened our office in Tuttlingen, and I actually have visited there, you don't know that. I never knew this. I never heard of this. Now, obviously, our clients who are manufacturing these types of devices or people who are on the lookout for these types of devices will know this. But the nice thing about this is, and you sort of mentioned it, but we have a whole setup designed around, hey, we have all of these contacts within this Medical Valley. We're going to pool all of this product, whether it's air or ocean. We're going to pool all this product. We're going to consolidate it and build it into a RIM-controlled shipment or shipments into the United States. And then from here, we will distribute, and we'll get to you in a second on that end, because that's your expertise. But in terms of how it was built, and I've seen it, so I get it a little bit, we were able to hire our team in Tuttlingen, led by Gunther Hosel, who's been with us for the last 15 years or whatever it's been. But this is literally, it is a very personal touch business on both sides in terms of how this goes.
No, you're spot on. I think, we are still, and I'm very proud of that, a freight forwarder first who very much embraces tech and puts it at the forefront of our efforts. But this specific vertical in this business is very much so about personal touch and the time that we spend with our customers and our vendors. Because at the end of the day, lives are at stake. I mean, a lot of these instruments go straight into surgery, so we understand the urgency behind it. What we do in Germany, outside of just shipping product from A to B, is a lot of the buyers of these instruments, they buy them from a lot of different sources. So there are a lot of different suppliers around the Tuttlingen area, but all of Germany and really all of Europe. So we assist to source those products and essentially consolidate those smaller orders into large quantity orders, consolidate those and ship those out to really the globe, the transatlantic. The U.S. is a massive market for us, so a big chunk of the volumes do go to the U.S. But those, we call them customer consolidations, have become a very popular model of what we do in Tuttlingen specifically. We're one of the last forwarding outfits in Tuttlingen left with our own warehouse and the capabilities to do that. It also allows us to be much quicker to market. We have the ability to arrange pickups for weekend flights that others would not have the ability to do just because we're local. We really, really put a large emphasis on our local approach, and that has really helped us further grow this vertical.
And I can't tell you personally, I've experienced this working with the Origin team down in the Medical Valley in Germany. They know the suppliers. They have worked for decades with the suppliers. They are familiar with the business. They know what needs to happen. We have our warehouse, which, as Tim mentioned, a lot of our competition in the industry has shut down in that area. They don't have their brick and mortar anymore, which we now do, which is very helpful. So let's pause that because I have more questions for you, Tim, but I want to go to Joe because a big part of this is people want to get their devices. People want to get them in an urgent fashion, especially if, as Tim said, sometimes these are literally going directly to hospitals or going into surgery. So in our Weekend Consult program that the Chicago office here manages, Joe, we have a weekend team. There is a process for which receiving the goods, handling the clearances, getting them out. If you could maybe, whiteboard that for us as to how that works for people who are interested in receiving this type of service.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously there is a sense of urgency to the medical device industry. We treat every shipment as urgent as possible, but there is a special niche when it comes to the med tech vertical. So the boys and gals in Tuttlingen do a fantastic job of sending the Chicago team commercial invoice, packing list, manifest, everything in advance after they do their collection of cargo, typically on Thursday. Send us the documents, so when we arrive to the office on Friday, we have everything we need to pre-key the customs entry, right? So the customs entry, super important. Obviously, almost all of these products, if not all these products, also require an FDA entry. So shipment gets pre-keyed on Friday here, gets reviewed. And once wheels go up in Germany on its way to Chicago, we transmit those entries both to U.S. Customs and to the FDA. Typically get clearance immediately for the most part. Some FDAs get held up for one reason or another. Wheels down in O'Hare Sunday morning, 1 a.m.-ish, something to that effect. We then bring it back to a warehouse, deconsolidate the shipment, because we may have 10, 15, 20 clients with product consolidated, and then get those shipments on trucks Sunday night so that they're out for delivery on Monday.
Yep. And I know, and you mentioned not only the U.S. Customs, but also the FDA part. So two things I want to make clear, which is actually great. Through RIM Vision, which is our system and our operating system, which our German team is also on.
Yep.
These docs, it's not a manual process. Back in the day, you would get faxes or email attachments, whatever. This is literally in our system, uploaded. We have access to this, so that is certainly a big plus. And as you mentioned, but I wanted to point out because I know this is not always the case, we have a weekend team that is filing these entries, that is monitoring these shipments, so that come Monday we can deliver.
For sure. We have multiple team members that are working over the weekend. We have a Saturday shift. We have a supervisor on duty reviewing those things. And not to get too far inside baseball, right? This is logistically speaking, so maybe we have the right audience. But yeah, we have eDocs, so the German team uploads all the documents directly into our ERP, so our team isn't printing things out, right? We're not going to the fax machine anymore, like when we started this program back in the day.
Indeed.
Runs a heck of a lot smoother, a lot less manual.
Yep.
And because we have the ability to work remote, if there are delays, we can handle clearance Sunday morning, Saturday evening, whenever. 99% of the time, it uplifts on the exact same time. We are queued up, ready to rock and roll. We just hit the transmit, and everything runs smoothly.
Yeah, and it's also easy too, because when we're dealing with whether it's a shipper or our own team at origin, with the modern technology communication, whether it's Microsoft Teams or cell phone calls or whatever, we have the ability to real-time communicate with shippers, with the people making the bookings at origin. I mean, this is literally an every week thing. We have regular discussions with these people, and I know you on the operational side do as well.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, the team in Tübingen does a tremendous job, to the point where they alleviate me and my team of some of the communication needs, right? So what I love about this business and industry and vertical in general is you have large medical device companies, but you also have a lot of small mom and pop, right? So it runs the whole gamut from large to 3-person operations. So the team in Germany will do collections of 2 boxes for a customer. Maybe that only weighs 6 kilos. They get an email from the German team saying, "Hey, customer, we have 2 cartons, a total of 6 kilos. We could put it on this weekend's consolidation, or we could hold it for next week if you have more freight that you'd like to consolidate and drive down your costs." Traditionally, these customers would potentially ship historically with a parcel provider whose name I won't name.
Nope.
And there isn't the service when it comes to shipping parcel with high value FDA type of product, right? So the team in Germany will hold, the email goes out, the customer says, "You know what, we're expecting 3-4 more boxes. Why don't you just hold for next week?" We hold for next week. We send the same email the following week, and they say, "Go ahead, let's uplift." And the communication is so streamlined. And the team from Germany comes to the U.S. on a regular basis, and thank goodness for that. But also now with the technology around Teams and Zoom, almost every new client that we onboard here in the Midwest or anywhere in North America, really, there becomes a face-to-face conversation via Teams, via Zoom, introductions, and it just makes the whole process flow so smoothly.
And if you are a U.S.-based buyer of these goods, chances are extremely high, and you're buying from the Medical Valley, that RIM already knows your supplier, already deals with your supplier, already is picking up from them on a weekly basis, and literally you are just onboarded onto that process and then brought into the United States. So I did also want to ask you though, Tim, as we talk about the Medical Valley, and there is a distinct connection, there are goods that are also or materials coming from Pakistan as well that can flow through this channel as well. Can you maybe talk about the details in that?
Absolutely. I think, something that we really started with the most back in the day was the Pakistan trade. And, a little bit of history on that is the way it came together, as these clusters formed in the Medical Valley, there was a need for contract labor, contract manufacturing. And, it always starts with, one family testing it out and then others following. There was a community in Sialkot, Pakistan, who was then trained accordingly to do some of the work that was previously done in Germany. but with the raw material that was still coming from Germany. So one thing that many clients have always told me throughout this journey has been, when the surgeon goes into the OR, they want German steel. Mm-hmm. And it's really, really important that they retain those origin structures as far as the raw material is concerned, but the work itself around that product, a lot of it has shifted to Pakistan. So what's happened since is they receive the raw material and they do a lot of the work there, and likely it'll come back to Germany or it'll come back to the U.S. For quality control and then sale and distribution, right? But that's kind of, those were the early stages of Pakistan being really involved in this trade. And now it's unimaginable to take them out of the supply chain.
Yep.
They've become such a strong player, specifically to surgical instruments within the medtech vertical, that, it's unimaginable to take them out of the picture. Yeah.
And it really has become kind of, like I said, I know our colleagues and I know you visit Pakistan, and we have a very regular communication and very regular back and forth, Germany, Pakistan, Germany, Pakistan, US, etc. So throughout all of this is all interconnected, which is part of the beauty, as you were talking about, Joe, of our program, but also of how the business works. So I wanted to bring up a case study because it's a company I think a lot of people may have heard of. This is not a secret. Rick Gutierrez has volunteered and he's on some of our marketing materials that we use for this. But Avaline Surgical is a big player in the industry.
Yep.
And he likes to say, and I don't want to get his quote wrong, but we're not just in the medical devices business. We're in the saving lives business.
We are in the saving lives business. And 20 years in the industry, I've moved a lot of widgets in my time, right?
Yep.
And every one of those is important for sure. But there is something special when you're moving product in the med tech vertical that is going to find its way into an ER within the next 48 hours potentially.
Yep.
And potentially save a life. And to be kind of connected to that whole chain, it is special. It makes, we all wake up every day loving moving freight around the world, but when you get to do something like that, it really touches home more than usual.
Well, and I know because Rick has talked to us as a group about the program, and the program is very specific, especially this particular program for the Medical Valley, for the medical device and dental technology type device, but very specific to this because not everybody needs a consult service, not everybody needs this, but for this particular vertical, if you are doing medical devices, if you're buying stuff out of Germany or Pakistan from the Medical Valley. The reason this program works and is so much in demand is because of the time sensitivity and the service that you get around that, right?
Yep. It's a very, it's a very service intensive vertical, right? And back to your point about a lot of our competitors pulling out of the market. It's labor intensive, right?
Very.
So. But we're dedicated to this. We understand it. Our customers support us. You mentioned Rick. He was, kind enough to not only support us on different events that we've hosted, but has really been someone who's guided us through ups and downs and helped us, continue to move this vertical in the right direction. And it's been a journey. It's been a partnership that something that we try to create with each and every one of our clients in this vertical. It's certainly something that we understand well and we want to continue to drive forward.
No, and just to make a final point here about this particular example, which is why Rick is a great example, Avaline is a great example, but not only does Avaline communicate with RIM on this end, I know Rick communicates directly and his team communicates directly with our German team.
Absolutely. Yep.
We're all in communication together. It's not just, hey, you only stay in your lane and talk here. It's a group partnership. It's a group effort, and all designed to bring these devices to us as quickly as possible so they get to the end user as quickly as possible. So it's important because I know Rick says it better than I do, but he very much describes what this means to Avaline as our customer and how it affects them. Yeah,
it's everything. I mean, you think, you're the freight forwarder in the picture has a pretty big job in the supply chain,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely,
And
yeah.
if we don't perform, then especially in this vertical, and we've said it a few times, lives may be at stake. So it's important to have that type of partnership and friendship with your forwarder.
Yep.
To make sure that you can perform at the highest level as an organization dealing
Yep.
with that. And one last point maybe I would want to make is that while we kind of grew up in the surgical instrument piece of this vertical, we've certainly over the last decade matured into a lot of different areas. Whether it's assistive devices or prosthetics, or if it's diagnostic equipment and things like that. So we're not just kind of pigeonholed into this one segment. We're really working on all of it within the vertical. It's just something that you got to start somewhere. We started on the instrumentation side, and we've gotten really good at it, and have been noticed by large-scale clients out there, and of course want to continue to develop that throughout the entire vertical.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Any last items you'd like to mention, Joe, before we wrap?
Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, we don't own the planes and the trains. We own customer service and communication.
Yep.
And Rick will tell you firsthand, if there's ever something he needs, he could call Tutlingen direct. He could call me on a Saturday night.
Yep.
He could call Tim at any point in time.
Talk to him today.
He likes to do that.
And
There you go.
and we're here. We're ready to serve.
Yep.
We're ready to rock and roll. And just really appreciate the support that all of our clients give us and the trust they give us to handle the medtech vertical for sure.
And it's a true partnership. I don't want to beat up the word partnership because I know it probably sounds like some salesy kind of commentary, but it truly is. It becomes that, especially very specifically for this vertical based on what we're bringing in. So if you're interested, if there's something we could do to help you, I know a lot of you are seeing this via YouTube or you see the promos on LinkedIn, whatever. Please feel free to reach out to any of the three of us, but we're happy to answer your questions. And you could obviously always reach us through LinkedIn or email, phone, anything like that. We're out there in the market. We're
always ready.
Oh, we're always ready. And now in closing, because we want to have a little spicy nugget here at the end, as it's an off week for the or for football, but we have the Super Bowl in a week and a half. The Bears, unfortunately, will not be there. But we have Seahawks and we have Patriots, and I need to get your picks before we get out of here, Joe.
Oh, what's the hot take on the Super Bowl without my Bears there? I'm gonna have to go with the Seattle Seahawks. I think they are poised. Their defense is ready, and I think they come out with the dub.
All right. Tim?
Yeah, I'd have to agree with Joe. I think A to Z, the best team in the NFL throughout the entire year. And I'll even give you a score, 24-13.
Please. Thank you.
Okay.
I hate to make it unanimous, but I'm going to because I also think Seattle is the best team. That was a great game they played with the Rams.
Mm-hmm.
I do think their defense is amazing. I think they can run the ball. Sam Darnold has been playing well. And I'm a little bitter because I think if the Bears had beaten the Rams, the Bears would have had a good chance to beat Seattle too.
Yeah.
But
there's always next year.
There's always next year. Well, thank you, and thank everyone for checking us out. Smash that subscribe button, I will say, for Logistically Speaking. We're here once a month. It's usually the last Monday of every month. Our thanks to Sarah Pack, who does an awesome job producing the show and getting us on the air and helping us with just about everything. Sarah, we appreciate you. Tim and Joe, thanks for joining. And please let us know if we could help you on your MedTech vertical and anything else. We're happy to assist. And we'll talk to you next month. This has been Logistically Speaking here at RIM. Appreciate it.